Okay, morning guys. Welcome to day 2 of week 5 of the Guildford City Fitness live stream. I'm going to get right into it today. I know some of you have got college, etc. to go back to. So all you're going to need is a table for the inverted rows later on, and some clear space for everything else, and a drink. So make sure you've got all that ready, and hope the ones that are watching now had a chance to look at Ellen's talk last night around off-season nutrition. Some really cool stuff in there, but particularly around sorting out your own snacks and making sure you don't overeat during the day. So make sure, I'll cover that more at the end, but make sure you go back and watch it on the club YouTube if you haven't had a chance already. Obviously it's Tuesday, and today we're going to start with warm-up number 2. So you're going to go through squat to hip lift. So full squat, the 6 reps, hands on the floor, and then straighten your legs as best you can with a straight back. Back to the squat and stand up. So always making sure that you get straight back rather than straightening and rounding. Save that for walkouts. And feet as far apart as you need them to be to get all the way down, like that. So after you've done 6 of those, you then angry cat, happy cat. Doing 6 up, 6 down. Controlling your breathing. So breathing in during happy cat, and then breathing out on angry. Uniform curve, just trying to get the middle of your back up as high as you can. Hopefully higher than your upper back. And actually, if you sit your hips back just a tiny bit, you get much more stretch around your lumbar spine. Okay, so then you go reverse lunge and rotate. And again, you're going to go from here, back knee on the ground, and then rotate as far as you can, leading with your chest bone. Do all on one side before you switch over. Okay, once you've done 6 on one, switch. And again, just as a marker, if you want to try and get more rotation, you can put your hands on your lead leg and just pull yourself around a bit more. But if you rotate towards the lead leg, it locks your hips in position just a little bit more, so you can get more focus on the upper body rotation. Then you've got a streamlined hinge. Okay, make sure I've got enough room on the camera. So regular RDL. But you're going to make sure you're holding a streamlined position the whole way through. So from the top, just make sure that at the bottom your elbows and wrists are behind your nose. You go as low as you have to until you feel a stretch in your hamstrings as well. Okay, then after that you've got floor or wall slides. So again, I prefer a wall, it's a bit more challenging. But I'd have to take the doorknob off, so I won't do that. Feet up, elbows in the floor, trying to drive your wrists at the ground as you reach overhead into an I position. Just go through 6 of those. And all the time, squeezing your core as hard as you can. And then shoulder rolls. So thumbs down, up overhead. Turn your hands over the top. So you do 3 one way. Again, just trying to get as much reach, as much range as you can, whilst keeping your ribs pulled down. So it's really important that you've got your stomach engaged and your hips, and then back the other way. So thumbs up from behind, turn them down, and come down in front. go with 2 1-minute rounds of jogging. Grab a drink. Okay then, so 1 minute jogging, however you want. 3, 2, 1, go. So today's set isn't particularly aerobic dominant. It's important you still get a good couple of minutes of the raise element of a warm up done. Just get your blood pumping. Halfway through round 1. And as normal, we'll throw in some high knee sprints on the back end of round 2. Okay, 3, 2, 1, and stop. Short break, and we'll go one more time. I'll explain the part 1 of today's session. In 3, 2, 1, go. So you can start practicing the IM skipping components if you haven't been, because we're going to start using them a lot more in the warm-ups. Just mix them in as and when for now. Again, star jumps, make sure your hands go over your head. Okay, so a couple of high knee sprints in 2, 1, go. And jog. We'll finish off with the sprint again. In 2, 1, go. Relax. So we'll leave the table until part 2, but for part 1 we're focusing on static strength. So you've got a 45-second round with 15 off, reverse plank, left hamstring raise, or you do need the table for the raises. If you haven't got a table, you can do them single leg on the ground. So reverse plank. Just gonna be hands on the floor, feet on the ground, hips up like this. If you want to make it easier, you can go full on bridge position. It's actually easier to go one hand, so you're not limited by your upper back mobility. And we'll switch halfway through. And then you've got up downs in between your raises, so you're gonna go one leg for raise into up, down, then switch. So foot up, 45 seconds. You can throw in holds, and we'll go up, down. So there, down to the ground, no hip sway. And then we'll finish off the round with the other leg of bridges. So 10 more seconds to grab a drink. Okay, then into reverse plank in 3, 2, 1, go. So make sure your hands are set properly. And then from here, squeeze your hips as hard as you can. If you want to do single leg, you can focus more on your hips. Reach overhead. Involves a bit more scap stability. Halfway through, you're going to stop and swap over. Just make sure your hips and stomach so they're facing the ceiling. Or your other option is to go wider with your hands at this point, just so it doesn't require quite so much thoracic extension. And then relax. So 15 off. You're going to go into left hamstring raise. Remember the static component of this is your core. So 2, 1, go. So as much as you're extending at the hip, you're going to make sure there's no movement from the shoulder and below, except your hips rising and falling. So if you need more padding, make sure you've got enough so you're not worried about what your heel's doing. Just concentrate on your hips going up and down. 15 seconds left. Okay, last 5. 3, 2, 1, relax. It's up, down. Go 5 seconds. In 3, 2, 1, go. Become much better for you to go slow and controlled. Without any movement at your hips. So if you go down like that, it doesn't actually, it takes away any aspect of scapular stability. So from this, you've got to make sure you're on one arm, there's not a lot of movement going on. And then same with the pushing. It's like a single arm push up in some ways. So again, less reps, far more quality. Relax there. We'll switch over and do the other side of hamstring raise. In 3, 2, 1, go. So you make sure everything's even. So hopefully if you started off with some imbalances, you're starting to feel that those are going away. If you feel too much hamstring work and not enough hip, you just move a lot closer. 15 seconds left. If you haven't got a table, just go single leg. As long as your toes are up, heel on the ground. 3, 2, 1, relax. So 30 off, and back in. Time for a drink. 10 seconds left. Reverse plank. In 3, 2, 1, go. So whichever position you go with, make sure that your arm, your wrist is directly under your shoulder. With your feet, if you think about lifting your toes up, driving through your heel, you get a lot more hip activation. Just concentrate on breathing, hold your core steady, and no, don't relax your hips at all. So pushing up the whole time. And relax. Not too long. So you're going to hamstring raise. The left side in 3, 2, 1, go. So this should have pre-fatigued you a little bit, so you might feel a little bit of extra hamstring work going on. If it's too much, again, just move closer. And if you can, try and make sure that your elbows are off the ground, so that you're not driving up through them, even if it's by accident. And relax. Go into up, down. In 3, 2, 1, go. So during the 45, try and count how many reps you actually get done whilst controlling your body. It's a bit easier if you have wide feet. And try and alternate, so if you go down on left to begin with, go down on your right. The second time, 15 seconds left. Try and avoid doing it on your knees if you can. If you have to rest, just hold that push-up plank position and stay there. 3, 2, 1, relax. And you're going to switch legs to finish off the hamstring raise. In 3, 2, 1, go. So the mistake I've made is using the table when I'm used to the chair, because it's higher up. So the higher up the surface you're using, the further you have to travel to finish the rep, the harder it becomes. So whichever surface you do use, make sure it's consistent, unless you need to progress it and make it harder. 10 seconds left. 3, 2, 1, relax. So one more round of part 1 today. 30-second break. Back to reverse plank. And the main thing with this as well, turn your hands out to make it a bit easier. 2, 1, let's go. So if you find that you're doing the reverse plank with your hands right behind you like this, fingers away from your head, and you start to think about your forearms too much, just turn your hands out to the side, because we're more interested in what your core is doing. Keep your head neutral. Focus on breathing. So even from this, I'm getting quite a big stretch in biceps. So if you squeeze your hips as hard as you can, and then relax. So into hamstring raise. In 3, 2, 1, go. Elbows up if you can help it. Because if you need to make it easier, just go closer to the table. Push your elbows. You start using muscles that you're not supposed to use right now. Doesn't help you in the long term. 3, 2, 1, relax. Into up downs. 5 seconds left. In 3, 2, 1, go. So again, if you are struggling to maintain the 45, it's better to do a couple of slow reps with a lot of press up plank in the middle than it is just to rush through. And 15 seconds left. Do it on your knees, the lever's too short. So it's pretty much all about scap stability. But there's other exercises that we do for that. So it's not going to be very helpful to you here. Relax. Last hamstring raise of the day. In 3, 2, 1, go. And again here, if you start to struggle, you can't get all the way to the top, just drop the single leg on the ground. So it becomes much more about your hips and squeezing the muscles, whereas if you can't do it here enough to get your hips from the floor, you'll start using things that you don't want working now, you want them to relax. 2, 1, leave it there. So part one's finished. I have a 1.5-minute break before we go into part 2, which is movement skills. So we still need the table for inverted rows. The other things to cover are Hindu push-ups. So downward dog, down to the ground, into dorsal press. Just try and keep your head off the floor at all times. Drop jumps, a lot of you have done them with me. Normally you use a box. You don't need a box to do them well. You just have to make sure that you're on the ground for as little time as you can. So we're starting to think about how you can get an effective push off the wall on a turn. Or just for this point of the program in the video series, it's just about revising things that most of you already know. So do a little jump into a big jump. So again, it's almost like you're falling, someone's taking a trapdoor out from under you, rather than a proper jump where you go down, feet on the ground and then push. So you're trying to get as big a jump as you can with as little time on the floor as possible. 2 more demos. So quick contact versus a long contact. Hopefully you'll feel the difference. Any questions, let us know. And then inverted rows using the table. And then sky sit up. So feet over, feet higher than your hips. In streamline. Control down. So last little bit of the break. Get yourself ready, have a drink, and we're going with Hindu push-ups. In 3, 2, 1, go. So you get downward dog and dorsal press. With this, make sure that your back is straight, hips are high. The cushion just helps protect your face. And then reversing it. So then less reps, more movement control for this. Because if you imagine when you're doing those plank push-ups, hands are in place, you're trying to go from the top down rather than a horizontal push like normal. So here, because my hips are high, it's more like a handstand push-up than it is a regular push-up. Dorsal press, and reverse it, and relax into drop jumps. So 45 seconds, focus on height. 3, 2, 1, go. Sometimes easiest to take a step and land every one of them. Just it helps you imagine that fake step. So like you're going off a box, stick the landing. The bigger you make that first jump, the more it will change your landing and your contact. Couple more. So you might get more height on a longer pause, but you're more interested in making them quick and snappy. Relax into inverted row. Two, one, go. Don't forget that if your hips are tired, you're still going to concentrate on pushing them up high. So you've got complete engagement from your shoulder down to your hip. Gives you a more stable base to pull. Means you can get more reps done at higher quality. Five seconds. 2, 1, relax. I'm going to finish off with sky sit up. So 3, 2, 1, go. So if you're not used to doing them, just go hands across chest. If you can't get up all the way, you might need a lower surface. Just if you're trying to build up your strength, hold the top and fall down slowly. So eccentric, control the pace. And you've got time off now for 30 seconds. Yeah, heavy table. If I'm going to keep up with this lot.
Yeah.
Okay, so round 2. Got 5 seconds left. 3, 2, 1, go. So if you are looking to do push-ups, if you find Hindu push-ups too easy, the same starting position, downward dog. Make sure your head is in position to make a triangle with your hands. So from here, down and backwards, rather than just up and down like a normal push-up. So here, elbows behind you. So you're more like a handstand push-up. You're going to relax, go into drop jumps. 2, 1, go. So I'll probably cap myself at about 8 repetitions of this to do it properly. So front view, stick and land. Make sure you land it effectively, because if you bail, again, you just don't develop the stiffness. It's the stiffness of your leg that you're trying to build up here, because you'll get more push for your effort on turns. 15 seconds left. And then the quicker you absorb the landing, the more effective it is. 3, 2, 1. Relax. Into inverted row. Two, 1, go. Again, if I wasn't having to move this around so much, I'd probably put books under the legs if it was staying in one place to make it harder. If it is quite low, you can always lift your feet or move them further away from you. As I keep telling everyone, full range of motion is more important, which makes you stronger at pulling from here rather than a full straight arm. We make do with what you've got. 2, 1, relax. Not graceful. And sky sit-ups. It's more graceful than this is going to be. 2, 1, go. So I'm going to go with streamline sit-ups because I only did it with 2 reps. So if anyone else is in that same boat, it's better for you to again pull and then concentrate on that lower ab strength whilst holding streamline. So go down really slow. "15 seconds left." Once that starts to fail you, go from streamline into hands across chest, so you're shortening that lever. And relax. So one more 30-second rest before we do round 3. As well, if you're using foot supports like I need to, make sure you're still pulling with your lower abs. Because the beauty of that is you can pull your knees towards you and it will get you smaller, but it's not going to help you build the strength you need in your lower abs. So Hindu push-ups again. Make sure you've had a drink. I'm going to go in 3, 2, 1, let's go. So the lower you go, the harder it will be. Just make sure your feet don't move, so if you've got a stable surface to push against, use that. And then if your mat keeps slipping, try and tie that down somehow. It'll be far more effective for you. Relax. Then 2 drop jumps. In 3, 2, 1, go. So this time I'm just going to do 6. So concentrate. Little hop, big jump. Relax. Almost key yourself internally. Take your marks. Go. Land each one. And again, one long, one short. You decide which one looks better. Relax. So with drops, you're always trying to get that really short contact, because even though you don't jump as high, you produce that force and use that elastic component a lot more effectively, which is what's going to help you with that push. Think about how long you push on the wall. You're just going to replicate that timeline here. And then you've got inverted row. 2, 1, go. More graceful. Elbow position is going to make a big difference here as well. So if you go from out here to underneath, you might find you get more bang for your buck. So higher up, you should be able to concentrate a bit more on the muscle to the inside of where your elbow should be. And relax. So that's one point that might not necessarily feel harder or easier, but if you're thinking about where your elbow is during any pulling, you'll get a lot more out of it. And then finish off. 2, 1, go. So I think a better way to try and develop that strength is to just go for a sit. So you hear your knees aren't doing anything, you're just holding on with your lower abs. And relax. So if you can do 2 20-second holds with a 5-second rest. And again, you should be able to concentrate on below your belly button with a straight back. Make sure there's no pain in your lower back. 3, 2, 1, relax. So I'm going to have to work on that one myself. But for you guys, it was just about trying to make sure that if you are putting your feet under or getting someone to hold, you don't use your hip flexors instead. It's very easy to do instead of your lower abs, which is what it's trying to develop. Okay, so cool down time. Make sure you're breathing normally again. You're taking your jacket back. I'll put your jacket back on if you're outside. Good quad stretch. But again, because of the drop jump element of today's session, it's much more beneficial to foam roll if you have one. Because the drop jump does involve some degree of stretch, mainly on your tendons, but you might find that the static stretching inhibits the adaptation to that part of it. Let's relax. So if you can foam roll, you're not using that stretch component, and it just means that you might feel a bit fresher afterwards. So any sort of plyometric recovery sessions or really fast work, foam rolling beats static alone. But again, if you need to go to work or you have to go to school and college and you need to try and change gears from exercise into work, go with whichever one makes you feel best. Relax. Then we went on block stretch yesterday, so I'm going to go active raise. 5 on each. You can make sure you've got a straight opposite leg. Add today. So you do 5 on each side. You have to deal with that later. And swap over. So again, if you have differences between legs, that's definite grounds to do a bit more work afterwards. I don't think I did any lower body work yesterday, really. Relax. Into hip stretch. So pigeon today. Wait, no, we've done pigeon. We haven't done bent the iron cross in a while. So bent the iron cross. Arms and shoulders on the ground. Straight right leg. Left leg over. So we're focusing around hip. Try and pull your knee to the ground. So when you're in this position, I'll tell you where to swap, but I'll do this with the camera. How high your knee is from the floor can be an indicator of how tight you are here. So if you try and pull it lower, you should feel it a bit more around here. Swap over if you haven't. Again, if you straighten your knee, you're just putting more of your body weight away from this hip. So you'll rotate some more and you should feel it a little bit. You should increase that stretch around the hip, but you might feel it a bit in your lower back. And like I keep telling you, just concentrate on breathing instead of just sort of pull things that don't want to move. And relax into lat stretch. So, 3, 2, 1, go. So belly button between knees, left hand over right knee, left elbow over right knee, sorry. And then push your chest down to the ground. Again, throw in some of the other elements, so move your hips, try and push your hands into the ground, just to contract that muscle. And then relax, see if you can stretch further. Swap over sides. See if they feel the same. Relax out of it, so after every push, if you push for 3 seconds, 2, 1, relax it a bit, and then retest it. So with this stretch, whichever side your hand is, you want to push the hips towards that because you're going to increase the size of the curve on your lat muscle in terms of where it attaches. So chest stretch to finish. So again, if you remember that there's 3 parts to being able to improve your mobility, some of the definitions, flexibility is more about the ability of your muscle to stretch, mobility is about you being able to move through a full range, and stability is about you controlling a position within a range. You can't have one without any of the others. So if you're doing static stretching and your strength work, you've got to make sure you're doing some of that stability work as well. That's why I keep telling everyone, don't just do the static stretching, it's not enough, it's an absolute bare minimum to help you begin recovery. You've got to concentrate on squeezing and all the other things. Ask questions if you need to. Swap over sides, and you're back away. If you do have nothing but a flat surface, make sure it's just the side of your hand that you're pushing into the wall. We see a lot of people with flat hands here. There's no way you can get that stretch in. So flat hand, and actually lean forward. So if you go in this position, again, that's much more akin to using the table that we do normally. And stop there. So neck, I showed you revised ankle yesterday, so if I show you neck again, I'll do it sitting down. So straight back, level hips. If I'm going to stretch my right side using the table, I can relax my head down to my left shoulder and then start pulling. So if you see that movement, it sort of anchors your traps at this point. So if you get the surface height right, you can actually get a stretch just by leaning. So hold the side of the table and then lean away a little bit, sort of like that. So switch sides again. Show you from here. So it's not a full body lean, so I feel a lot more in my biceps. But here, pull down with your fingers. So again, you're just trying to get your ear and your shoulder away from each other. But again, don't just yank. You relax into it, breathe. The more you breathe, the more it'll start to relax on its own. And then just, again, retest it with going back against the wall. See how close you can get your nose to your shoulder without slouching or overextending. And then today's challenge, I believe this is jumping again, but I'll just check. So Tuesday's challenge, share it if you can online, adaptability, so hashtag GCSE, or if you, on Twitter if you at Guildford City, and then go hashtag squad name, hashtag adaptability. I got it wrong. Good thing I checked. So timer set at 15, do as many rounds of the following as you can. 14 split squats on each leg, 14 streamline sit-ups, 14 squat jumps. So again, only give us complete rounds, see how many you do, see if you can get more than last week, and then you can log that on your baseline. So last week was more of a practice week, see if you can maintain it and just keep your best score. And again, make sure you go back and watch the nutrition talk if you haven't already, because especially for people watching this video, there's some cool stuff in there about making sure that you're getting enough protein. So I think the normal recommendation for growing muscle or maintaining muscle is at least 1 gram per kilogram of body weight. So whatever you weigh in kilos, you need to be getting at least that in protein every day, because it's going to regulate your appetite, it's going to maintain your metabolism, which if you let that slide, it's going to be much harder for you to get back into a good place once the season begins properly, whenever we go back. But just, we like to be optimistic and assume it's going to be sooner rather than later. So you've got to get enough protein and create your own snacks. So a bit of a challenge that Ellen set around using the internet to make your own snacks instead of eating the ones that are a bit higher in sugar that will spike your blood sugar. Create your own. So like the honey banana flapjack one sounds like a great idea. We'll probably do that later at some point. But it's just another way of you controlling your day to day and taking responsibility for your training and for your personal health, if anything else. So YouTube for that, and that'll do for me today. I'll see you all tomorrow, and from everyone in Guildford City, have a great day.